In 2015, global sales of cancer drugs and treatments totaled $115 billion. By the end of this year, 2020, that number is expected to reach over $150 billion, a meteoric rise in just half a decade. The number of annual cancer deaths will soon be more than 10 million per year. Around the world, about 1 in 6 deaths is cancer-related. The International Agency for Research on Cancer says the overall cost of cancer to the healthcare field as a whole, when all the related charges are tallied, in other words, the cost to society, is over $1.1 trillion per year. Imagine if those resources could be used towards finding a cure rather than just treating the symptoms. What if you were told that none of this had to be this way? That there was a cure discovered in the 1930s? Have you heard about it? Has your doctor? What if you were told that in 1934, a clinical trial was undertaken on 16 terminally ill cancer patients, and that by the end of it, all of them were declared cured of cancer? And what's more, there was no chemotherapy, no invasive surgery, no radiation, no drugs at all. Would you believe it? In the next few minutes, you're going to hear about it, how it happened, and how it was covered up. It's no hoax. The only hoax is the one being played on all of us to this very day. We've been kept in the dark, unable to benefit from this amazing secret from the past. With a frequency instrument treatment, no tissue is destroyed, no pain is felt, no noise is audible, no sensation is noticed. A tube lights up and 3 minutes later, the treatment is over. Several diseases may be treated simultaneously. These are the words of Dr. Royal Rife, a medical scientist and engineer born in 1888. In the 1920s, he invented a series of optical compound microscopes with time-lapse microscopy capabilities in the hopes of working towards a cure for tuberculosis. These microscopes changed the way organisms could be viewed at close range, 17,000 times magnification, as opposed to the standard 2,000 times of the day. What's more, Rife's microscopes could observe living organisms rather than dead ones, a first in the medical field. This was a turning point for his research in bacteriology and embryology. And with these monumental technological breakthroughs, Rife was able to identify that microscopic organisms had their own electrical polarities, oscillation patterns, and other electrical characteristics. He wondered what might happen if he subjected these tiny specimens to electrical frequencies. His experiments demonstrated that specific frequencies could, in fact, slow down or destroy certain pathogens, bacteria, and viruses at the cellular level, eradicating them for good, stopping them in their tracks before they can grow, mutate, or replicate, and targeting bad cells without harming any good cells. With this knowledge and observation, and putting his electrical engineering background to use, Rife began developing specialized devices to target unique frequencies on specific organisms. This work generated much fanfare and media attention in its early stages. Newspapers in his native San Diego, Los Angeles, and beyond frequently featured his inventions and experiments on their front pages. And who could blame them? Rife's work seemed like it could change the world of medicine forever. Rife began recalibrating his research to find the cancer virus, which he believed was the secret to curing cancer. In 1932, he inadvertently stumbled upon a morphed cancer culture that had been sitting in the test tube near one of his electromagnetic current devices. It had been left there for 24 hours by accident. But the results of its proximity to the device prompted him to repeat the experiment, this time on purpose. Over and over again, 104 times to be exact, he and his team uncovered and isolated filtrable carcinoma virus, visible through his most advanced device to date, called the universal microscope. With such close observation, he was able to determine the frequency of the cancer virus, allowing him to fine-tune his frequency-generating devices in order to target the cancer virus in isolation. At the time, cancer accounted for around 115,000 deaths per year and was beginning to increase steadily. Over the next 2 years, Rife and his team worked with small animals like rats and guinea pigs, inoculating them with cancer and then treating them with frequency-generating devices. Experiment after experiment, they found that the cancers in the animals were reduced or eliminated, all without any notable harm caused to the creatures. Altogether, Rife carried out over 400 tests on his animal test subjects. The results were overwhelming. They were successfully curing cancer. It was time to test his procedures on humans. In 1934, the first clinical trial began at the University of Southern California. 16 cancer patients were a part of this initial process, all of them deemed terminally ill. Their treatments consisted of 3-minute exposure to frequency therapy every 3 days to allow the patient's bodies more time to dispose of the dead microorganisms produced by the therapy, the remnants of the destroyed cancer cells. After 3 months of treatment, 14 of the 16 patients were certified as clinically cured. The other 2 were pronounced cured 1 month after the clinical trial concluded. Imagine that, a cure for cancer in 1934. But have you ever heard about it? Why don't more doctors and health professionals talk about this amazing scientific discovery? Over the next few years, increased national interest within the medical community was circulating at the highest levels. The International Cancer Research Institute and multiple medical insurance companies wanted to see results replicated and tests expanded. Rife completed construction of the Rife Ray machine, an improved version of its frequency-generating devices. He highlighted its variable frequency controls and emphasized the importance of being able to target different pathogen organisms and their unique chemical properties with different frequency and vibration rates in order to effectively destroy them. As the LA Times described in the process in 1940, organisms respond to certain wavelengths, a theory carried to finality by bombarding disease germs with radio waves, which are tuned to those of the tiny man-killers. Everyone knew that cancer was a growing threat, a man-killer. Even the national press was talking about it, and about Rife's work. But major players in the pharmaceutical and healthcare industries demanded more access to Rife's work than he was willing to hand over, and were starting to bully him, even questioning his results. Due to poor advice and guidance, Rife and his team were convinced that unless their research and results were completely irrefutable, it would be dismissed by the powers that be. Before handing it over in full, he wanted to make sure that the therapy was a slam dunk. This would prove a terrible error in judgment. It gave the American Medical Association time to second-guess their work and shut down the clinical trials they were conducting. By the end of 1937, Rife partnered with 3 manufacturers to produce his frequency instruments. A company called Beam Ray was established to sell them commercially. This seemed like a good way to protect his technology and discoveries, but it actually made him an easier target. By mid-1938, 14 machines had been built and delivered. But problems with one of Beam Ray's engineers soon emerged and animosity developed. The engineer left the company in spite and worked with the American Medical Association to sue Beam Ray. The trial forced any doctor using one of Rife's microscopes or frequency instruments to cease immediately, threatening to strip away their medical licenses if they did not comply. A quiet man of research, Rife was overwhelmed by things falling apart so quickly beyond his control. He succumbed to alcoholism during this time. Some of his research was stolen and destroyed. A laboratory was burned down. Several of his associates died under mysterious circumstances. Everything unraveled and fell apart as he and his work were deemed unacceptable to the medical community at large. Powerful people and organizations buried his miraculous technology, depriving the world of his contributions. Think how many lives could have been saved. In just 1 decade, so much hope and promise in the medical field, especially in the field of cancer research and treatment, was dashed. In 1938, Rife wrote an article which was published in the San Diego Evening Tribune, in which he stated, "We can say that these waves have been shown to possess the power of devitalizing disease organisms, of killing them, when tuned to the exact wavelength or frequency for each different organism." One of the last times the public was made aware of his miraculous research. In the 1940s, even the mention of his name was career suicide for any doctor or scientist seeking to have their work published. It was as if Dr. Worrell Rife never existed at all. In 1971, Rife passed away in El Cajon, California. He suffered a heart attack caused by a lethal mix of alcohol and Valium, which he had been taking in his final years to help him sleep. To this day, many believe that his overdose may not have been an accident, that perhaps his alcoholism was used as the scapegoat for murder. Whatever the truth may be, the basis of his life's work didn't die with him. Over the decades, various scientists have built upon his research, often in secret, hiding in the shadows and fringes, working on the margins of mainstream medicine in the hopes of avoiding his fate. New approaches to cancer treatment and treatments for other diseases using frequency and vibratory methods have come and gone, each time passed over by large medical organizations, institutions, and pharmaceutical corporations. Mountains of important discoveries have been buried and silenced in order to maximize profits from costly alternatives like chemotherapy and radiation treatment. It is perhaps the greatest cover-up in medical history, and the results have been catastrophic. Why would the major pharmaceutical companies want to improve these numbers? Think of how much money they would lose. Their incentive is clear. If you are sick, they can turn a profit. The longer you're sick, the more money they make. This isn't healthcare. This is sick care, a cycle that must be stopped. At Chi Life, we believe the work of Dr. Royal Rife and all those who work with them or followed in his footsteps deserves to be honored and given the credit it deserves for the important contributions it made to the world of medicine. Keeping the core ideas of their research alive and building upon it is central to our mission of helping people improve their lives with the power of resonant frequency. Our product line is directly inspired by this rich history, or what might have been. We have developed one of the world's simplest frequency systems in our Chi Coil, Aura Coil, Resonant Wands, and Resonant Console devices. With both consumer and practitioner variants available, our advanced technology reimagines the power of frequency instruments for the 21st century to aid in overall well-being. Our systems are contactless, portable, automatic, simple, and beautifully designed. More than that, they're powerful, highly efficient, and effective. Using our proprietary software, Chi Life devices grant you access to the exact frequencies from Dr. Rife's research, as well as quantum meditation frequencies, more than 10,000 frequencies and growing. All easily accessible from our intuitive app. You can even create your own frequencies, and unlike our competition, there's no gas tubes, no probes, no electrical contact pads, no complicated connections, machinery, or programming required. You don't even need a computer to set our devices up. They can be operated from your phone or from our Resonant Console tablet. Chi Life systems are truly one of the world's simplest and easiest to use on the market today. You can literally take them out of the box and have them running in seconds, making them ideal for everyone, even senior and less tech-savvy users. As if all weren't enough, our devices won't break the bank. They're amongst the most affordable in the world. Protect yourself, your family, or your clients from electromagnetic field pollution or harmful EMFs. Get in tune with your body's natural tones and frequencies. Help recover and maintain energy, support your vitality, boost your productivity. Rife Frequency Therapy can assist in improving concentration and mental sharpness, promote better sleep habits, and assist with anxiety and stress, enhance your water, and much, much more. Your optimal well-being is only a frequency away. By harnessing the energy of Dr. Rife's work, you can now transform your life 1% a day with the Chi Life technology product line. To learn more, visit rifesimple.com.